welcome back to another video, and you join me on the way down to Copart in Kent, in Sandwich, to collect, well, as you would have seen in the title down below, a Ferrari California T. Yes, it happened. There was a lot of negotiations, but we managed to get over the line. The car is ours, and we are on our way to collect it now. But obviously, how did it happen? Well, here's how.
Your watch item is next on the block.
Okay, we are next up, Ferrari California T. I am super nervous at the moment, but in the next few minutes, we could become the new owner of a Ferrari. Oh, it's on, it's happening. Okay. Oh, God. I'm just gonna let the others bid for a bit, see what the other interest is like. Get a bid in then, come on. There is a reserve on this, which hasn't been met yet. No way we're winning this already. We're 33 grand, just under. Oh, there we go, there's a bid. 33,500. I think if this is the lack of interest, we could be winning this. Bonus time again. Oh, another bid. I feel like people do that to wind you up, don't they? Oh, you think you've won it? Nah, not quite. Okay. I think it's between me and one other guy. That's my guess. Or woman. Oh, come on. He's going to wait till the bonus time, so what he wants to do. It's going to do 2 bonus times, I think, because it's a featured car. It's going to go around the loop again. One more time, come on! We could be winning this! Sold on approval. Still hasn't met the reserve, but oh my goodness. That is a lot cheaper than I was expecting. Wow, Enzo hasn't met the reserve, but there was a real lack of interest in that car. I'm amazed. Well, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, if we're cutting back and you're watching this now, I guess we won the car, but for now, I don't know. So we're gonna have to wait to see what happens, but anyway, back to the road trip. Well, as you saw there, we ended up winning the auction for just £34,500, which I was definitely anticipating there being a lot more interest, but weirdly there just wasn't. But the seller's reserve was £40,000, which is what I was kind of expecting it to be, around that area anyway. And I was pretty keen on not really negotiating too much. I figured, you know, even if I didn't win it in that auction and it got relisted, I'd probably win that one as well, and maybe even for less money, because they tend to sort of have less interest when they get relisted. So we ended up, they were trying to negotiate pretty hard as well, trying to constantly just, you know, chuck down £50 each time, which, yeah, I wasn't really having. But anyway, they finally accepted an offer on £35,500, which with the fees comes to £38,222. Now, I think that's a steal, but you'll have to see what you think when we go and get this car, because we're going to get it back to the unit and then we're going to have a look at what it's like. But anyway, enough of me rambling, let's go get the car. And I didn't have to wait long until the Ferrari was being loaded onto the trailer. With it loaded, I then got it back to the warehouse without any issues. But anyway, that was Friday. We collected the car from the auction house. It is now Sunday morning, and it's time to get this off the trailer and give you a little show around. Well, the Ferrari has landed. It's back on all 4 wheels now in the warehouse, ready to begin repairing. So without further ado, let's show you around. Well, obviously we might as well start here because this is the worst bit of the damage. Early thoughts are, well, I knew we needed a new bonnet. Knew this was bent. This is obviously the structural damage. It's almost like the slam panel. I'm not too sure what the term is, maybe cross member, something like that. But anyway, if this is a structural damage, I'm very happy with that because this is near enough bolt on, bolt off, or bolt off, bolt on job. So not too bad. The grille is unfortunately broken, which is a shame, but I was expecting that because they are very expensive. Interestingly, the bottom of the bumper, right down here, looks absolutely fine, like it's taken no damage whatsoever. The damage seems really selective right here. Because even like the headlight is absolutely fine, which is another win because these are not cheap. But it's, yeah, it's so selective, it almost makes me think it's gone into the back of maybe a truck or something because it just sits that much higher off the ground. I'm not too sure, but anyway, there's enough for them to write it off, but that's probably just because the cost of these parts from the factory are insanely expensive, and also inside, which we'll get to in a second. And so moving around to this side at the moment, to be honest, looks okay. I know we need a new bumper, we need a new bonnet, but again, headlight's fine. For those who have watched the DB11, taking an impact from that end actually caused damage to this headlight, so I guess it's a result that this one seems absolutely fine. This fender is also fine, but looks like the gap sort of needs a bit of work. Looks like it's maybe moved a little bit. I've got a feeling it's the actual sort of chassis frame that comes down here has just sort of bent sort of like that a little bit. But I've even looked worst case scenario that I need to get new parts for that. They actually aren't too bad to get new parts that sort of come along here and then come along here, and then you've got your cross member here, which is the bent bit we're referring to down here. Now it's not actually too bad to replace those if we need to, and I did budget for that just as like a worst case scenario. Always better to do worst case. Now the only thing I have missed on that worst case scenario is this fender here. I thought the fenders would be okay following a realignment, but because in the photos you can kind of sort of see it like this, and yeah, I guess I missed it, but it's obviously bent out here. Might be able to repair it, I don't know, but I might get a second opinion on that one. But worst case scenario, if that's the only thing I've missed, then that's great. We do have some really good news, which is you probably won't be able to see it. Excuse my sniffing, it's my cold. The brake pads look like they've only just been done on all four. So that one and the other side are done. Well, this car has done 39,000 miles, and at 35,000, they recommend changing all the spark plugs. Now, the fact that the brake pads look like they've been done recently makes me think that it's been in for a service. So I'd like to think, fingers crossed, this has just had its spark plugs changed as well, which is, yeah, gonna save us quite a lot of money as well, but I probably would still look to get it serviced with a sort of Ferrari specialist anyway, because I want to sell this in tip-top condition. Well, moving on around, as you know, this fender is bad, but I can't really close this door properly without causing damage to it, so I'm avoiding that. Because as you can see, this is really pushed up, which again leans into the idea that the body has kind of almost shifted around this way a bit, causing this bit to push up, because if you have a look at the body gap here, there is none. If anything, it's scraping. And then there's quite a clear gap down here, which makes me just think so the chassis is sort of just bent slightly to kind of pull this fender away and pull that one in. But that's okay, it was kind of to be expected. This is a category S at the end of the day, and they have written it off for a reason. I think if it was just a case of a new bumper and a slam panel and bonnet, they probably would have just repaired this. So anyway, moving on. Interestingly, this glass is a lot more damaged than I thought, and I was talking to another guy who was waiting for a car at Copart actually, and he reckons because this bonnet doesn't close, he believes that this is somehow in transport back to Copart, this has sort of opened all the way up, or something like that. That's what he reckoned anyway, and it's gone to smash it. But I don't know, the hinges seem fine. To be honest, I just think it's the airbags. I think you can see where the main damage is, it's right around here. And well, yeah, that's obviously where the airbag's gone. So that seems okay. Rest of the car, to be honest, is absolutely fine on the exterior. All the alloys look really good as well. Like I said, new brake pads. Back end, absolutely fine. Obviously, this end is all absolutely fine as well. So other than the wing over there, everything is kind of as budgeted, as expected. Windscreen needs redoing, which I'm going to look to do myself. I've done it with the DB11, and to be honest, it really wasn't that daunting. So looking to do that. Need a new bonnet, bumper, grille, structural parts that we discussed, likely either going to need pulling out with a jig, sort of professionally, or replacing. We'll have a look at that. But then, yeah, everything else is kind of as expected. Replace this, replace this, replace this. Yeah, not too bad.
And so moving on to the interior, and what a nice place this is to be. Rather surreal, if I'm honest. Obviously we've got the expected airbag gone here, passenger side and driver side, so they're both going to need replacing. This one's obviously with the red stitching, but up here it seems the red stitching is actually okay, so we might be able to salvage that. I have looked at costs for just having a whole new dashboard in, and I actually budgeted for it because again I want to do worst case, and I was looking like £5 for a new dashboard with sort of airbag parts, etc. But having had a look at it, I've got a feeling we should be able to just get the airbag modules and actually have this restitched, and that should save us a fair bit of money. Moving onwards, obviously you might have noticed on the advert it was down as engine start program, which basically means the car starts but you can't run it and drive it. Now I've got a feeling either they haven't tried or they've not been able to figure it out. Now some YouTubers in the past have discovered this. I think Sam Crack, sort of quite infamously, had one on his Ferrari where he bought it very cheap because it was only an engine start program, and it turned out that they just didn't figure out how to put it into gear. You can't just put it onto auto mode here or reverse. That's not going to work. If you want to drive it forward, you actually need to do it with your paddle shift up here. So I've got a feeling they've been trying to mess around with the auto mode here, trying to get it to engage drive, and it's not worked.
Another cool quirk with these cars is the indicator stalks. Instead of having stalks behind it, you just got the paddle shifters up here. Also good that they're attached to the actual frame rather than the wheel. It's kind of annoying when they're attached to the steering wheel. But yeah, you have to indicate using here and here, which might take a bit of getting used to. And then obviously like headlight controls are down here, wipers over here. Again, going to take a little bit of getting used to, but I do love the quirkiness of this car. Well, interestingly, I'm just looking through this sat-nav at the moment, and you can see it was obviously collected from Kent, so a lot of the recent addresses are Kent-based, but it looks like they're actually based more in London. And what's really weird is as you scroll through it, I don't know really why I was doing this anyway, just kind of curious, but it got to quite an interesting address, which is Whitehall, London. I'm pretty sure that's some kind of government address, or Whitehall's quite famous for being a politician sort of point of interest, I guess. But not only that, if I scroll down a little bit further, we get Chequers. Now, I'm not too sure, but I wonder if a former or a current member of parliament used to own this car. Let me know what you think. I mean, this could just be a random address. So could Whitehall, but a lot of these, I don't know, it's very central London as well. I'm curious, what do you guys reckon at home? Could this have been owned by a member of parliament? I don't know. Now, one thing I have noticed whilst I was trying to get the car on the trailer and get it strapped up, I was trying to open the boot, but we've got a dead battery. I had to open it manually. So with a dead battery, we obviously can't start the car right now. So we're gonna look to get that charged, and I don't know, maybe even fingers crossed, we might even be able to start it in this episode.
To get access to the battery, I had to remove the cover, which was just held on with 4 twist locks. The positive terminal also had a cover on, which just pops off too. And as you can see, with just 0.26 volts, this wasn't going to be starting up in a hurry.
This is a neat little trick for anyone who has a smart charger at home which isn't charging their battery. What you need is a spare one, ideally. And basically you actually wire this up to charge that, and then you'll actually feed with some jumper cables an extension to the circuit onto the battery that you're actually trying to charge. And because it will detect a signal from this battery, it will sort of emit power, and it won't just charge that battery, but it will also charge this one here.
I decided this would be a good time to check it had been connected properly using the multimeter, and with a much higher voltage, I knew the battery was charging.
Now, a quick little point whilst that's charging away, I'm here battling away with a cold on my Sunday morning, trying to get this car running because I want to get a video out to you today. But obviously, if you do want to follow this build, we have obviously the DB11 as well, coming back from the body shop next week. They've told me Wednesday or Thursday. We have the Sierra, got someone coming to quote to do the bodywork on that tomorrow. And then obviously we need to get stuck into this car as well. So many exciting things to come. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do hit that red button down below. And if you want to support the channel, do hit the like button as well, because I believe it helps with the algorithm somehow. So you'd be doing me a massive favor.
Alrighty, well this is nerve-wracking as hell, but I feel like I'm just going to keep putting it off with any excuse I can to look at anything else, unless I just jump right in and do it. So we're going to start this car now. Now obviously it has been sat here a couple of days. I have checked the trailer, I've checked underneath, nothing appears to be leaking, so whilst there is no dipstick, I can't check the oil level. I assume it's going to be fine. There's no sign of any coolant leaking as well, but we're not going to run it up to temperature anyway. So I think we're going to be good to start the car. I'm going to get it started up, potentially see if I can get it in gear. We'll just see about that. Brake pedal seems absolutely fine as well, so that's fine. I'm not worried about accidentally accelerating off, but we're going to try and get it into gear.
There goes nothing. Ignition position there. Woo! Come on, start. Oh, it's going to need a bit more charge, isn't it? It's going to need a bit more charge, that's for sure.
Well, I feel like it was trying there, but obviously these Ferraris, I've read online, they do need a lot of voltage to start. So even though we're charging it at the moment, I think we need to let it charge a little bit longer so it's got more natural voltage in the battery before we can jump it. I mean, I do have it set to the highest setting there. We've got another battery there, but I think we're gonna have to charge this a bit longer, which is a shame because I was hoping to get this started now, but yeah, a bit of a shame. So unfortunately we won't be able to get it started this episode because I've got to go back and edit this video you're watching right now. So yeah, I've got to go, I've got to leave this on charge. So we'll find out in episode 2 if we can get this car running. We should be able to, I'm sure, with a charged battery. It was certainly trying then and it only had a natural sort of 2 and a bit volts. So I'm pretty confident we'll get it going. Beyond that, we'll then start stripping off the old parts, all the broken ones that we know are broken, see how close we were with our estimate for parts, and then I'm going to show you the bit of ordering parts as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button down below and we'll see you very, very soon. Exciting week next week. Cheers.